Welcome to Distress to Joyful, Bailey's Way. I'm your host, Bailey Raber, here to enlighten you and the rest of the world about one of the most misunderstood mental health disorders out there, bipolar disorder. In each episode, we'll learn more about my personal journey with bipolar 2 disorder, how I've struggled with it, and how I've learned to overcome those struggles. Together, we'll laugh, we'll cry, and most importantly, we'll have fun. You'll leave each episode feeling hopeful and stocked full of useful information on how you can better yourself and the world around you. Hello, everyone. I know that I said in September that I was back and I would be here twice a month, and then it didn't happen. So, a lot of why it didn't happen is actually because of the whole title of this episode that you're tuning into right now. But another big reason, and this is actually a fun announcement, is because I got a job. I'm so excited. I'm so happy to get to share that with you guys. So if this is your first time tuning in, hello and welcome. And if this is not your first time, welcome back. But I moved to New York City in July. So if you've tuned into the most recent 2 episodes, you know that that's what's happened. And I was job hunting. So I finished my degree in fashion design in May. It was an associate's degree, and Houston, Texas just is not the place for fashion. It just isn't. And I've always dreamed of living in New York City. So I'm so fortunate that my husband, Monish, was on board. So long story short, we moved here in July and I started job hunting. And I knew I wanted to work in fashion. Obviously, I mean, I have a whole damn degree. But getting into the fashion industry is actually pretty difficult in New York City. So I am beyond thrilled and also grateful that I was able to land a job in fashion here in New York City without having any connections. Which, guys, that is so fucking hard. That is so fucking hard. So I'm not going to go into too many details, but it is a little bit different. So I'm not working for a designer. I'm actually working for, the person I'm working for does all of the wholesale distribution here in the United States. And his brother owns the manufacturing and does all the designing in Italy. So they're a family duo. It's really, really cool. But I'm getting to learn so much good stuff, you guys. Like, wholesale is what keeps fashion brands alive. If you've ever seen anything sold in Macy's or Nordstrom, and it's a brand that also has their own store, like Michael Kors, Coach, Kate Spade, Chanel, whatever, they're selling wholesale to these other places. And that's truly what helps to keep them going and keep them alive. So I'm so thrilled that I get to learn that. And I have that as my first job. So it's really, really cool. A little backstory, I did work in wholesale manufacturing in Houston for a lawn and garden plastics company. Who would have thought? That's literally the majority reason why I got the job. So I have a background already doing that it's just now fashion, and I love it. And I'm literally so passionate, and I actually enjoy going to work every day. So this is one of the first times. There's been very, very few jobs I've worked in my entire life where I'm actually thrilled to go to work, and I don't dread it, and I don't hate being there, and I'm not waiting for the clock to count down. Like, I actually enjoy it. So to say that I am grateful is an understatement. I literally have worked so hard for this, and it truly is a little unbelievable that this is my life. I tell my husband that all the time. I'm like, wow, like sometimes I think that like I'm afraid that I'm dreaming and that I'm going to wake up and that none of this is real, because it's just worked out so well, you guys. And I'm so happy I get to share this with you, because I really truly hope that my story, especially if you have listened to this podcast from the very beginning, I truly hope that you guys can see this story and have hope, because I didn't have hope for a very long time. And that's why I get so emotional when I think about how happy I am, because I never thought I could be happy. and especially not this happy, and especially not having my dreams come true. That I have worked for them, guys. I have fucking worked hard for all of this, but that it was possible and that I have earned it. Like I didn't used to believe in all this, and here it is. So if you need a little bit of hope, I hope that I was able to give that to you with this, 5-minute segment of my life. So I actually started my job at the end of September, which is why I was MIA in October. But that's not the only reason why I was MIA in October. So let's dive into today's episode, which is titled Overwhelmed and Empty: How Hypomania Made Me Think I Could Do It All. So if you have not tuned into the episode about hypomania, I will link it in the show notes, but I cannot remember. I believe it was season 3. Y'all, I'm all over the place. Bear with me. I apologize, but this is such as life, right? But I know that I have an episode where I talk specifically about hypomania, and that is part of bipolar 2 disorder. So if you're tuning in and you have bipolar 1, you would be experiencing mania, which is a bit more extreme than the hypomania that us with bipolar 2 experience. And so if you need a little bit more understanding of that, you may want to pause this, go to the show notes, listen to that episode first to get a really good understanding of hypomania if you're not sure what that fully is, and then come back. Because I'm not going to mention much. I'm going to blow through what it actually is and actually then move on to talking about how I ended up being MIA for all of October and all the shitstorm that happened. But essentially, hypomania is this feeling of euphoria. And it is the best part of bipolar 2 disorder. Everybody loves it. Most people, let me take that back. Most people love it. I myself included. You just feel good. You feel confident. You feel like you can do anything. And that's where the pitfall is, guys, because even though you feel like you can do everything, the reality is you most likely can't. Depending on what everything is for you, right? So for me specifically, I struggle with hypomania in the sense of I take on way too much. And I feel like I can get it all done. And I have all this energy because that's what hypomania does. It makes my high energy even higher. Like, who'd have thought? And I just pile on things. I can do this. I can do that. I can do this. I can do that. So October is my absolute favorite month of the year because it has my favorite holiday, which is Halloween. And every single year I make my own Halloween costume, except the last couple of years I haven't really been able to do so because school, or if it wasn't school, it was me making costumes for other people and getting paid. So I was really excited to get to make a family costume this year. One for me, one for Monish, and one for our Puggy Duke. And I was pumped, and I actually started Monish's costume back in August because we had all these cardboard boxes from moving. And I knew I was going to need cardboard in order to make some of his costumes, so I started making it then. And I really should have spent a lot more time in August working on his costume and then doing Duke's costume, but I didn't because I had this idea of, well, I have so much time. The end of October will be forever. Like, I have so much time, right? I didn't have a job at that time. I was literally job hunting. And so I had all that time. I really did. I spent maybe 2 or 3 hours a day job hunting, and then the rest of my time doing other shit. A lot of unpacking that took up most of July and August, and then a million other things. Guys, like, if you have listened to this podcast, if you've seen my blog, I do so much shit. And I just have this big lust for life. And that, I think, came from when I turned things around. I realized that, there's so much to offer in life and that I just want every bit of it as much as possible. And that's where a big pitfall and downfall of mine is. So I get this job, right? I'm so fucking excited. I was actually dog sitting for a while in September to just earn some money while I was job hunting. It was easy because I could just literally sit on the couch and apply for jobs and then get up and take the dogs to pee every so often and feed them. Like easy work, easy money. So yeah, I procrastinated on getting these Halloween costumes done. And then I started a job on September 29th. And now I'm working full time. I'm literally working 40 hours a week. I go into the office, so I have a 30-minute commute both ways. So I spend an hour commuting. I spend, 8 hours a day at the office. And then I come home and I'd be exhausted because I am not used to working full time. It's been a long time since I've worked full time. So I just kept putting it off. But not just that, you guys. It's not just that I was procrastinating on getting the costumes done. I started adding more things to my plate. So another reason why we moved to New York City is I'm planning on applying to the Fashion Institute of Technology, which is my dream school. It is located here in New York City, and it's part of the SUNY schools, which are the State University of New York. So they're a state-run school, which means if I live here for 12 consecutive months as a resident, I will get in-state tuition for school. And that's literally what we're doing. That's why we moved here in July. I'm in the middle of my application process for fall of 2026. That will be more than 12 months of living here. It'll work out great. They had a portfolio day this month. It was, in October. It was on October 25th, where I could go and meet with some professors to critique my portfolio. So that's something I was doing this month. Plus, I was trying to make costumes so that we could go do all these costume events and costume contest. And then I've made a bunch of new friends. And so we had a whole day hiking with some friends, which was just so much fun. And another thing is that I don't have winter clothes, and it's getting colder here in New York. Like, we don't need winter clothes in Houston. So we needed to go shopping to go buy some winter clothes so we don't freeze our asses off here. And then we had a whole weekend in October where we were attending an Indian wedding and an Indian baby shower, which are both long events. It was so much fun, but it took a whole weekend. So there goes that, right? An entire weekend of getting anything done. And I just kept taking on more and more and more. And I had all these things, right? I was going to finish these costumes. I'm going to hang out with these new friends. I'm going to go to this wedding. I'm going to get podcast episodes done. I'm going to keep my YouTube going. I'm going to work on my social media. I'm going to get my portfolio set up for portfolio day. And then it all came crashing down. At one point, I realized that I was just so fucked, right? I kept putting other things first, and I kept doing other things because, guys, living in a new city can be very exciting. And for us moving to New York City, it's been extremely exciting. So we find any reason to get out of the house and go do something. So I was choosing that over getting some of this work done. So let me just tell you how portfolio day went. I kept saying I was going to work on my sketches. But I was also trying to get these damn costumes done. So what did I do? I focused on the costumes, because I was so behind on those that even though I didn't need the costumes until the 31st of October, I put that first because I'm freaking out. I really want these done. Like, I want these family costumes, these photos. We're going to go to this party. It's going to be fun, and I really, really want to do this. So I put that first. Then comes the night before portfolio day, and I literally don't have a portfolio put together. I have pieces, I have sketches, but I don't have anything that I can lay out and let them look through like they would if they were looking at my application. And I went to portfolio day anyways, completely unprepared. And, to tell you that I felt like a fucking failure is I don't even know how to describe how I felt, you guys. It was fucking awful. Like, the way this professor kind of looked at me, I'm fucking 31. Like, I look like an adult. I don't look like the high schoolers. It was mainly high schoolers at this event because most art schools, it's people graduating and going straight into school. I did see a few other adults, people my age, people a little bit older who are going back to school at a later age. One of the most beautiful things about living in America is that we can do that. And I love that. But it was mainly a bunch of teenagers. And these teenagers were way fucking more prepared than I was. I felt like ass. I felt like I made a fool of myself. I felt stupid. I felt like, why did I even come here? Why did I go into the city? It took 45 minutes to get there from the subway, from where I live, walk to the subway, get on the subway, get off the subway, walk. 45 minutes for just that. I stood in line for an hour for this whole event to open. By the time I got in, talked to a professor, I'd been there for another hour. And then I had another 45 minutes to get home. Literally, what was that? 4 hours of my day that I felt like were a complete waste because I was not prepared enough, because I had so many things I was trying to do. I literally could not pick the most priority and focus on that first. And that was the biggest problem I dealt with, because then guess what happens next? So that Saturday, the 25th, a friend of mine was actually in town from Houston. So he was here on a boys' trip. There were literally 9 of them. I was very impressed by their skills of getting that whole thing organized. 9 dudes. Derek, if you're listening, I'm impressed with you and all your dudes. You can tell him I said that. But he was in town. And so instead of leaving portfolio day and coming straight home, I met him in the city and we brought him to our neighborhood, and Monish came and we walked around and showed him the place, and then he left. By the time he left, I was fucking exhausted. It's been a whole day of being out and about, running around the city, doing all kinds of stuff. I'm tired. The next day, Monish and I are going to go hiking with our new friends all day long. And so we had to start doing some meal prep and laundry and all of that Saturday night because we won't have time on Sunday. Sunday is a whole day excursion. I literally was wanting to come home and do some sewing, and none of that happened. We did 7 miles. We were exhausted by the time we got home. And then now it's Monday and Halloween's on Friday. Monish's costume is still not finished. Duke's costume is almost done. I haven't even started mine yet. And I have Monday night, Tuesday night, and Thursday night, because Wednesday night was Run-A-Ween with Run Club. So we started going to Run Club every Wednesday night, and Run-A-Ween was where we dressed up in costumes and ran around the neighborhood and looked at all the cool houses with the cool decorations for Halloween. And I was not going to fucking miss that. So that took away, instead of having 4 nights to work in my costume, now I have 3. So I came home Monday night, worked for a couple hours, and then had to go to bed and, start the next day. I came home Tuesday night, and I literally fucking panicked, you guys. I fucking panicked because I just knew there was no way in fucking hell I was going to finish these costumes. And I was upset. I was mad at myself because I should have done more when I could have earlier. I was mad at Moni because I felt like he wasn't as excited for Halloween as he should have been, which is total bullshit, by the way. The argument I had with him was a lot of self-projecting, and I feel like shit, but I was looking for all the reasons to... Who else can I be mad at, right? Because I was mad at myself. I truly, truly was, because Halloween is my favorite holiday, and I was so excited to get to wear these costumes. And what's fucking worse, is I told people about these costumes. I told them what I was making. I told them what I was doing. So Tuesday night, when I realized I wasn't going to finish, I had a fucking breakdown. I don't get to go out and have fun Friday night in my costume. And I also look like a fucking failure idiot because I said I was going to do this and I didn't. Because to me, it's really important that I do what I say I'm going to do. That is a very, very, I value that in myself. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to fucking do it. So I told people about these costumes and then I didn't do it. And so I was fucking mad at myself. Had I been able to recognize that this was hypomania creeping in, I could have done things a little differently. I will say though, let me just stop and say that I am proud of myself though, because instead of having a breakdown Thursday night, the night before, it was like 5:30 or 6 o'clock on Tuesdays when I gave up. And I decided there was just no way in hell. Fuck it. So I had to have my breakdown first. And then after I had my fucking breakdown is when I said, you know what? I'm not going to stress anymore. I'm not going to try to get it done. Fuck it. These will be next year's costumes. I will get Monish's done. I will get Duke's done. And I will do mine in July of next year. I already have a reminder set. So we will wear these next year for the whole month of October to all the things. But yeah, you guys, this was something that I have not experienced in a while, but I have a constant problem of every time I start to slip into hypomania, I start to take on more and more and more, and then I can't do it. I feel like I can do it all, but I can't. It's not realistic what I'm taking on. And then I end up doing nothing. So I'm telling you this because one, if you've ever experienced these cycles where you feel like you can do it all and you pile on your plate and then you end up doing fucking nothing and it all doesn't work out and it crashes down and then everything just fucking sucks, please know that you're not alone. First of all, you are not alone. Also, I do want to point out some things that I have noticed and learned about myself. In the past, when I would deal with hypomania like this and things didn't work out and I was very upset because it didn't work out, I would just immediately slip down into depression. And I would get so depressed and I would stay so low and I'd be so fucking mad at myself because things didn't work out. And that's where I would land and that's where I would be. So I am proud to tell you guys that that's not what happened this time. Was I upset? Absolutely. I was very upset that I didn't have these new costumes. The whole reason I love making costumes, guys, is because I love the creativity of it. And I love when somebody comes up and they compliment my costume and I get to tell them that I made it. Monish saw me do that on Wednesday. When we did Run-A-Ween, we wore costumes that I had made in the past. But I made them. People came up and they kept complimenting and I would tell them that I made it and, they would be like, wow. And then we'd have a conversation about it. And Monish said that he watched as I would light up every time I told somebody I made this. So he physically saw how much joy Halloween brings to me. And that's why I was upset that I wasn't going to get to wear a costume I made and get to go beam all around New York City in my costume. So instead of, slipping down into depression, what I did instead was pivot. I was able to pivot, you guys. And I told him, at first I was like, we're not doing anything Friday night. I'm going to pretend that Halloween doesn't exist and we're going to just stay home and do nothing. And I'm just going to, whatever. And then I went to work and we were talking and my colleagues told me about the Halloween parade, which I knew about, and they convinced me that I should go. It's my first year. Go see the Halloween parade. Go enjoy it. So I texted Monish and I said, hey, I changed my mind. Can we please go to the Halloween parade tonight? And he said, absolutely, because he knew that I really would love to do that. And then I said, I know that I wasn't going to get to make costumes. I don't want to go there if I don't have a costume on. So Let's pull out the clothes that we wore to Disneyland Paris when we went bounding as Minnie and Mickey, and let's wear those. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. I'm here for it. Great. And so I told him a few of those items are in the storage unit. He went out of his way on his lunch break to go to the storage unit to get the items so that we could be Minnie and Mickey and go have fun on Halloween. And I am so grateful that he was so on board to doing that, because it truly did lift my spirits. And I think that's why I was able to stay out of depression this time, you guys, because I pivoted. I did not allow myself to sink down and be miserable. I found something else I could do instead that would also bring me joy. I know that's fucking hard, okay? I get it. Some of you might be listening thinking like, fuck, I've never been able to do that. I don't know how to do that. And I get that because it's literally taken me years. This is probably the first time I can actually think of where hypomania hit. It started to crash, but I didn't let it. I've been working on myself since 2019, y'all. I have been working really fucking hard since 2019. It has been almost 6 full years now. It's taken me that long to build these type of things. It's also, I can guarantee you, another reason why I was able to keep myself from slipping into depression is that because I've been exercising on a regular basis, I've been eating healthy on a regular basis, and I've been doing gratitude again. And for me, those 3 things are truly what keeps me in the balance zone. They really, really have impacted my life that way. And I know this because when I wasn't doing those things regularly, I was very depressed, or I kept slipping into depression and it kept becoming problematic. And that was at the beginning of this year when I was dealing with those problematic depressive episodes and whatnot. So I'm not going to get into it. I'm going to just put in the show notes a link to my 60-Day Stronger Challenge. That is what has gotten me back into this healthy routine, you guys. And that is what is keeping me more stable. So I am taking my meds, so I haven't stopped that. So please, as always, we're not cutting meds cold turkey. We're always talking to our doctors first. But if we're not engaging in some kind of healthy routine, it is a lot harder to do what I did. Guys, all of this is to say that, first of all, I'm fucking proud of myself, and I hope that you're proud of me too. But more importantly, that you don't always have to be in the cycles, you guys. Bipolar doesn't always have to be high, low, high, low, high, low. I rode that for most of my life. It was just a high and then crash to a low and then back up and down. And it's very unstable and it's very, very rough way to live and not healthy. I fucking hated it. I've gotten to a place now where I can have the highs and the lows are not going to go away forever, you guys. As far as I'm aware, they're not going to completely disappear. But they're not as high and they don't immediately crash down into a low. I've gotten to where they'll steady out a little bit. And again, that comes back to a healthy routine. Thank you for tuning in. I am really glad to be back. I truly am. I missed doing this in October. I kept thinking about you guys and I kept thinking about how I've not been on the podcast and how I didn't keep my word yet. Remember another theme of this episode. But it truly does bring me joy to sit here and be able to talk through self-discovery and just hopefully be a shining light to any of you guys listening, because life is rough. Life is rough, but it doesn't always have to be that way. And there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Sometimes we just have to look a little bit harder to be able to find it. So before I close out today's episode, I do want to let you know what our next episode is going to be about. So the next 2 episodes. And I'm telling you the next 2 because one I've had on my mind for quite a while now. And another one I think is super important, which I have never done before. And I realize I need to because it's fucking important. And that's the next episode. The next episode, we are going to talk about how to prepare to handle our families during the holidays. Because the holidays, while some people feel that they are the most wonderful time of the year, for others, they are not. And that was me for 25 years of my life. The holidays were just a fucking miserable nightmare. So I'm going to talk with you guys about how we can prepare to deal with family members who might trigger us, what we can do to prepare ahead of time, how we can cope in the moment, and things that we can do afterwards that will help us to regulate and reset after all of the dysregulation and dysfunction. And most importantly, these things I'm going to talk to you about, they were discussed by my therapist. She's the one who recommended them to me, and I'm going to tell you how they worked for me and give you real life examples from Thanksgiving of 2019. And then the following episode after that, we're going to talk about bipolar disorder and addiction. I realized in the most recent episode, which was the last one about exercise and bipolar disorder, that addiction and bipolar disorder, they tend to go hand in hand. And I have had my fair share of addictions in the past. And I've done some research, and I'm really excited to kind of put some pieces together and explain why a lot of us with bipolar disorder tend to also have problems with addiction. I am also going to share about all the different types of addictions that I've dealt with, because it's not just alcohol, you guys. We all know that alcohol is an addiction, but there are many, many more. And I want to discuss those with you because I, for the longest time, didn't even realize some of them were an addiction. And the first step is knowing. The first step is knowing. So this is what you guys have to look forward to over the next few weeks. Thank you for your patience in my return to the shortest season ever. And thanks for being here yet again. I really, truly appreciate you guys, and I can't wait to see you next time. So until then, take it easy, stay grateful, and be joyful. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Distressed to Joyful Bailey's Way. Head on over to whatisheybellsdoing.com to find the resources mentioned throughout this episode. Be sure to follow the show on Instagram at distressed2joyful_Bailey's Way and on Facebook at Distressed to Joyful Bailey's Way. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating on your favorite podcast listening platform or write a review on Audible or Apple Podcasts. Lastly, don't forget to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with new episode releases. Until next time, take it easy, stay grateful, and be joyful. Bye!